have a timber crew come in and salvage some timber, will you still be available for these replanting grants?
Yes, I'm 99% sure, yes. And that would make it a lot easier to prepare that site and plant that site than if the wood was not salvaged. That's one of the big pluses of, you're getting money with the salvage. You're not getting near what it was pre-hurricane, but you are getting money per ton. And you're also getting that site a lot cleaner with a lower level of debris, much lower level of debris, to plant the site and also greatly reduce your fire hazard over the next few years. So multiple benefits to getting somebody to salvage your wood, and banding together with your neighbors is the way to do it. When we sell timber on small tracts, usually it's got to be the logger is right next door where they have no logging costs to literally move right onto your property. So the small tracts, when that happens, you see a logger next door, if you haven't been able to band together, say, hey, I got some wood, would you be interested? Because he's right across the street. So banding together, and if you got a logger close by, say hello just before lunchtime, maybe. Yes.
I'm Alan Emmons. I'm with Southern Forestry Consultants. And what you've heard here is that 80% of your wood is going to rot. 20% is going to be salvaged, and it's only going to be the big timber that's salvaged, because that's what they're going after. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the fact. And they've touched on it a little bit, but we need something other done for our small landowners, or all of our landowners who lost timber, besides hoping that your timber is going to get harvested. You've been damaged. You've been damaged like nobody else. We've got farmers out there, and nothing against farmers or anything. I'm all for farmers, but they had crop insurance, a lot of them. They get subsidies. They get USDA grants at 0%. Timberland owners get nothing. We're not even treated, our timberland owners are treated like red-headed stepchildren in the ag department. And that's just the fact. We don't even qualify, and I think Congressman Bishop touched on it. We don't even qualify for some of the tree programs in the ag department. It's all trees except ag trees. They're the only ones that are in that. Timberland owners are going to get nothing. We're in that. We do have that right. But that's only for reforestation. So what are you going to tell him? A man who's 70 years old, he's got 40 acres, $75,000 just got wiped out. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to let you go and reforest your tract if you give it, but we'll pay for 50% of it. Fork up some more money. It's not going to happen. We need a better solution here. And Congressman Bishop's here to hear solutions of what can help. And I was at that producers meeting in Valdosta, and they said, President Trump came, and Sonny Perdue, our ag secretary, came, and they said they don't want to hear problems, they want to hear solutions. I came up with a solution. It's a pretty easy solution. We go out, evaluate your timber, what you had beforehand. We estimate the percentage of damage. We minus your salvage that happens, and that's your net loss. And then the government can step in, just like they've stepped in a financial crisis that we had in 2007 and 2008. A man-made financial crisis, and they bailed out all the corporations with no problem at all. Citibank, GM, Chrysler, and I can go on and on. But they bailed them out pretty quickly. Why wouldn't they just have a disaster relief package for us? With that same formula I gave you, and then saying, well, okay, you come up with your net loss. Everyone here has a net loss. And we'll pay 50% of your net loss, 60%, 100%, 10%. Tell us something. That's the answer. That's the long-term answer for all of y'all.
Amen.
Tax losses, how far can you carry it forward?
That's an accounting question. I have no idea. But I have the formula. I have a plan. I have a petition. If y'all want to sign it, we can give it to Congressman Bishop. I plan on giving this to him so that he can take it on to the Ag Secretary and President Trump and everybody that he deals with. And I really commend you for being here. I didn't know if you would. I'm really happy to see you. Thank you. No minimum. I mean, everybody's damaged. Why would there be a minimum? There's a timber, everybody is a timberland owner. I don't care if you own, if you have $1.8 million you lost, or if you had $10,000 lost, you still lost. I mean, why should there be a minimum? It should be, if you lost, why can't the government just help us out a little bit? We pay a severance tax. And as far as I know, they're still collecting a severance tax on our salvageable timber. We pay a severance tax. Every one of you pay 3% every time your timber was cut.
That's correct.
You pay a permit. You have to get a permit from your county, not Decatur County. But you pay a permit. In a lot of these counties, you got to go ask them for, hey, can I have the right to cut my timber? And here's $25. Can you give me a permit so I can cut it? They don't do that with cotton. Can you imagine if they did that with cotton, corn, peanuts? They don't do that. We're treated terribly. And if this doesn't get you mad enough to do something about it, I don't know what would. I know you're here, but we got to talk to our congressman, and he's here. But our senators, we got to talk to them, and we got to continue it. You got to keep going. You got to ask for it. And if you don't ask for it, it's not going to come. They're going to give you a reforestation program through the FSA office, and that's all you're going to get.
Pass your list around.
It's coming. Milk is like an old cow.
I'll pass it around. Let y'all look at it.
I've got a question. I've got about half my acreage is in the CRP program. Are they going to relax the regulations in terms of salvaging damage in CRP land? Because as it stands now, you can do a limited harvest once during the 10-year program, and that's it. You can't mess with it after that.
They told me
I think that's a good question. I think that that's something that we'll have to put in the hopper, because if you're prohibited from harvesting and now you've been forced by Mother Nature to harvest, that ought to be some consideration.
If you can harvest.
Pardon me?
If you can.
If you can harvest,
They
you're
will
absolutely
also
right.
let you out of the contract without paying.
Same thing on easements, Congress. A lot of this land that's in an easement, you can't harvest it, but so much.
We'll have to weigh that, I think. But I need to hear what
You got all these trees in CRP land that are laying on the ground or snapped off in half, and they're going to attract beetles and bugs and everything else. If you can't get them out of there or burn it, something. But as it stands now, it just stays there.
And again, the clock is ticking
Yeah.
on that very loudly.
Yeah, regarding CRP trees, you can harvest those trees, but it's a conversation between you, FSA, and the Forestry Commission, and the Forestry Commission will come out, and if it's, if it's severely damaged to the point to where, it needs to be harvested, then we make the recommendation. That goes to FSA and the committee. Lynn Massey's here, and they make that decision. So there's not a prohibition for harvesting the CRP trees. So we can.
So there is a way to work
FSA.
around it to get
Yes, sir.
stuff off the ground.
Yeah, that wouldn't be recommended just to let them.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I think Steve Martin,
I'd like to ask
Forester,
Mr.
he's the one who
Bishop a
says
question.
it.
What do you feel like, what is your feeling as to his, what he just said there a while ago?
I think that we're asking for a disaster supplemental appropriations bill. And when we ask for a bill, we need to ask for the resources that will satisfy your needs. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to do 100%. It's just not that much money available. But he suggested 50%, might be 50, might be 60. We don't know what it will be, but we know that you need to have some money appropriated that you can get to try to address your loss.
Is it available for pecan farmers?
Pardon me?
Is it 100% available for pecan farmers?
It's not, no. And we're working on, in fact, I had a meeting the day before yesterday in Moultrie, and then I had one right before that in Perry with the pecan folks. And they are trying to come up with a formula, because we're going to probably have to change the law, make some adjustments to the WHIP program and some of the other programs to try to adequately cover those losses. We don't have the answer. Right now we're asking and trying to listen for possible solutions, so that when we go back, we'll know what will at least begin to address your needs.
We don't have the answers or the money, do we?
Pardon me?
We don't have the answers or the money, do we?
Well, we can pass a bill if we can get our colleagues to support it. And we're going to be doing our dead level best to get support, because we're not the only part of the country that's faced disasters. They've had wildfires up in the Salad Bowl over in California. They've had mudslides, they've had floods. And of course, we had the earlier hurricane that hit the Carolina coast. And of course, now you've got Florida and Georgia and Alabama in this one. And of course, we've had Katrina in the past. But in this particular situation, we're going to try to look after all of the people who have been hit by hurricanes. Wildfires, hurricanes, indemnity program is what the WHIP program was called from last year. And we're going to have to expand that to cover the losses this year.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Next speaker.
Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap this session up?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Martin. I'm the management forester that covers Early, Miller, Seminole, Decatur, and Grady counties. I flew over the damage in a helicopter today, this morning. It brought back a lot of memories. I was in South Carolina managing 75,000 acres when Hugo blew through. And because of that, I moved down in this area in 1990 and been here ever since. And have no intentions of leaving. My point of saying that is, 29 years ago, I sat where you sat. I had 75,000 acres worth of wood I was trying to salvage. So I know what you're up against. And what I'd like to do this afternoon is just share a few high points about selling timber. I would encourage you to go to our website, gatrees.org. There's much more information about there. We have some information here. I am just going to get the very high points of selling timber. Okay?
Keep talking, Steve.
Keep talking, he says. Do you need my... Let me say this. I don't think there's any doubt we're going to face some challenging times ahead. I want you to know that I am available to come and look at your timber. And if I get overwhelmed, I've already got assurances from Scott, Griffin, wherever he is, that I can get some help, okay? I don't have to do it all myself. So call. Please do not hesitate to call. My number is on the website. I'm already building a list. I've looked at a few already. And, but here's the thing. I want to come look at your timber and help you. And I want to guide you along in whatever you need to do. So please feel free to call.
What counties did you say you covered?
I cover Early, Miller, Seminole, Decatur, and Grady. Not Mitchell. No, not Mitchell County.
We signed up for that replanting at the FAS office. So how are we being put on the list on that?
I can't really answer that question. That is their program.
Yeah.
I do all the technical work for them in those counties. But generally, they'll send it to me, and I handle them as they come in.
So we need to go ahead and just get with you first before they do, or?
You need to do both.
Do both.
Feel free to call me. I'll go take a look at it. I can even pre-look at it. And so when it does come in from the FSA, I can go ahead and make a determination, fill out the paperwork.
And FSA will be speaking to us. They're part of the program coming up this afternoon. So hopefully any FSA specific questions you've got, we can hope to get those addressed for you then.
Who handles Mitchell County?
As far as foresters,
I believe Shane Dunning handles Mitchell County.
Shane's gone.
I'm not sure. Obviously, every county in Georgia enjoys the same services from the commission, whether it's on the protection side or whether it's on the management side.
Smart Madrid.
Who?
Mark Madrick.
M-A-D-R-A-Y.
Didn't Shane leave on the third?
He just transferred. He's still with us. He's just got different counties.
Okay, Mark Madron.
Yeah. And he's here, I believe, in the back.
I think he's outside. Yes, ma'am.
What about Bainbridge? There's several of us here. Bainbridge?
Chuck, where are you? Chuck Norval covers that. Covers Baker County. Okay.
Chuck Mitchell.
If y'all go to our website, geotrees.org, you can click on the county and it'll show you the forester for that county.
Is that an answer? Yeah. Okay, what I want to do is just quickly run through a few slides to give you some ideas and some things to think about when you do get the chance to sell your timber. These are your timber sale best practices. Number one up there is always have in place a signed timber sale contract. Do not sell your wood without a written contract. Okay? Always have a written sale contract. It cuts down on problems, it cuts down on misunderstandings, and it lays out the rules for the sale. Always have in place a written sale contract. If you can, use a professional forester. Consultants are going to be wrapped up. I know they are. But try to get some professional help if you can. Even if it's not negotiating the sale, try to get a professional that will help you manage the harvest. Because a lot happens during the harvest. And it's better if you have someone on site to help you gauge if what's happening is acceptable or not. Okay? One thing I'd like for you to do is when you go out and you look at your timber, don't look at what's down. That's always the temptation. What I'd like for you to do is to look at what is standing. What do you have left? And make your determination from there. I know it's bad when you go out there and you look at it and it's depressing. But try not to concentrate on what you've lost, but try to concentrate on what you do have. Because that's what you'll make your decision off of, is what you have, not what you've lost, okay? It is okay to modify your objectives. You may have had something in your stewardship plan, and I hope you all do have stewardship plans. We're in a new reality now. So think about modifying those objectives to match what you have now, okay, if you have enough left to manage. Cost share. Go to the FSA, the NRCS. Look for those cost share opportunities. Avail yourself of those cost share opportunities. They're there for you. Hopefully, we're going to be having some more coming in. But don't hesitate to ask. Okay? Don't hesitate to ask. Oops. Well, technology. Third slide. Right there. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Some more things you need to think about when you have a timber sale. The performance bond. It's always a good idea to ask for a performance bond. And what that does, the consultant or you will hold that bond to cover any damages that happen during the sale. Could be a damaged gate, fences, things like that. Don't be shy about asking for a performance bond. Consider asking the harvesting crew to deck, locate their logging area or the loading area in a place where there's already maximum damage. I looked at a spot last week with a landowner that's in fact here in this office. He had a corner of his timber was already destroyed. And what I asked him to do is think about asking the crew to deck in that area because the trees are already gone. Because in this situation, you don't want to cut any more of your good trees than you have to. Okay? So try to get them to locate their loading decks in an area that already has maximum damage. If your consultant is handling your sale, or if you're doing it yourself, consider every week doing a weekly recap of loads, income, products, where those products were delivered, just to be sure that everything looks in order and makes sense. And if you take all that information, you look at it weekly, it gives you a systematic way to see what's actually happening as the wood's being cut and delivered. If you're selling the timber yourself, and I've already said this, try to get some professional help to manage the harvest. I've looked at hundreds and hundreds of harvests in my time. But if you've never seen one before, you really don't know if what's happening is correct and reasonable. Okay? So try to get a little bit of help there. And finally, the timber sale contract should have in it adherence to all Georgia best management practices. Just because we're in a salvage situation, those best management practices have not been suspended. Okay? And that should be in your contract. Adherence to all Georgia best management practices. Very important part.
Can I say something right there?
Yeah.
There is on our website at that when you go on the front page, there's a link there to storm damage documents. There is a document on there that talks about streamside management zones, and there is a relaxation of the basal area requirement within that streamside management zone. So if you've had, you know, the tornado or the hurricane didn't care there was a river or stream there and it flattened everything, you can remove those trees within that streamside management zone, those damaged trees. But you're supposed to consult a forester, be working with a forester in order to do that. So there is that relaxation, but you just try to maintain the soil in that area and maintain any undamaged trees within that streamside management zone, but you can remove those down trees.
Okay, I've just got a few slides. These are pictures that we took immediately after the damage. How bad is my damage? This is an example of catastrophic damage. It's going to be tough to manage that. It's going to be tough to manage. It's going to be tough to reforest that. If this is your situation, try to get some help, because that's pretty bad. Okay. This is an example of some severe damage. This stands very well, but this much amount of damage can still be managed. If you have less than 50% of the trees or so down, don't consider clear cutting immediately. Try to think about doing a little bit of salvage and saving the stand. Remember, concentrate on what you have left, not necessarily what's down. Moderate damage, this is still very manageable. You're going to have to be careful when you burn it, when you decide to burn it. Be very, very careful, because all of these trees have been put under a lot of stress. Even the ones that look fine, they have been bended and twisted like you wouldn't believe. And if you stress them too hard with a hot fire, results may not be optimal. Light damage. Fortunately, I've seen a lot of stands that had light damage, and I'm very grateful for that. Light damage is something you really don't need to be that concerned about other than watching it for beetles, or if your trees get under stress due to a dry spell or something like that. So be aware, keep your eyes on your trees. They may surprise you. They really may surprise you. So that was really all I had. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Find beetles, what do you do about it?
Don't take it by stand basis. If it's a bad infestation, you treat it just like you would any other beetle damage. Do a salvage cut or a thinning.
Catastrophic damage, you say get help. Now, if you have a small tract and you're most likely not going to get anyone into salvage, what kind of help?
We talked on the phone this morning. A small acreage like that, and I think you said 5 acres or less. I think the best thing you can be able to do is get a construction company in there to maybe move some of that wood, band together with some of